All staff, thank you all for joining us today. Appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and kick off because we've got a tight agenda, a full agenda, which is always good. So for those of you that are at our first all staff at Catalpa, we like to start our all staffs with welcomes and good news. It looks like we have a couple new people that are joining us. I don't know if they're actually here with us in the room, but we want to give them a nice welcome. That is Brenda Cotel. Is that how we say Brenda's last name? Colell, all right. I can't read writing. Brenda Colell with the call center. And is Brenda in the room? Okay, well, we welcome Brenda. And then we also have Alicia Klein. And Alicia is a case manager with the Trees for Seeds program. So welcome both of them to Catalpa Health. And then we also have a tradition of starting all of our meetings with good news. And good news can be something that's great happening at Catalpa. It can be good news in our community, or it can be good news in your personal life. So who has some good news that they'd like to share? Not everyone at once. All right, Susan, what's some good news that you have?
We got our oldest child all the way through college, and he even has a job.
That is fantastic news. Wonderful. Who else might have some good news? Jackie.
My husband and I celebrated 20 years of marriage.
Oh, that is lovely news. Fantastic
I'll
news.
balance that out and say my 7-month-old slept through the night last night.
That is great news. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you're going to probably, Trina, I don't know when you're talking about the pop event, if you're going to share some of the recent grants that we've received, or any good news there as well, or if you want to take a moment to share.
Yeah, I can share that now. So we received a $300,000 grant to support the NINA school-based program from the Community Foundation, which is very exciting.
Yes, so wonderful. And Trina's been doing a great job engaging community stakeholders, so we are out there doing a lot of wonderful asks to our community, so great news. All right, we have our values cards monthly drawings that Christy's going to be doing.
Thank you, Gina, for your guidance on a very complicated and difficult situation late on a Friday afternoon. Very much appreciated, Mary Margaret. Thank you, Jenny, for shoveling the worms that got in our permit to building this morning. First one.
You know what I love about our values cards is they do range from exceptional care to worms. So what other organization can really boast about that? So that is fantastic. So next up we have Ruby, and where's Ruby? There she is. I've lost Ruby. It's not that big of a room. And for those of you that don't know Ruby is with Be Connected, and Be Connected is now our partner for all of our social media. Recently, we got a grant from the Kubley Foundation to really transform our social media from us traditionally posting where we were really just sharing a few times a week on events happening at Catalpa. And we were certainly doing a good job, but we really wanted to be transformational, to be more educational, to break down barriers and stigma, and to really increase awareness. So the Kubley Foundation allowed us this opportunity, and we partnered with Be Connected to say, let's take that to the next level. And we've seen some tremendous results, I think, in a relatively short period of time. And Ruby's going to talk to us a little bit about the work she's been doing. I'm going to hand over the fuzz. I love the fuzzy microphone. I've not been wearing it. So.
All right. Hi, everyone. Like Lisa said, my name is Ruby. I work with Be Connected. We have been working with Catalpa Health since the beginning of this year, as she said, through a grant from the Kubley Foundation. The purpose of that grant was to allow Catalpa and Be Connected to try to break a lot of the stigmas that are associated with mental health. I'm sure a lot of you know that mental health is a scary topic for a lot of people, something that is not really talked about a lot between families and kids and people in general. So we are working to try to educate people, to try to help open those conversations, start those conversations, get people okay with the idea of mental health, and not only talking about it themselves and with their families, but also seeking out help. A lot of people might not know that Catalpa exists, or they might not know what services are available through Catalpa. So we're really trying to get the word out to people in the community that Catalpa is here for them, telling them about the different resources that are available, and then also offering different points of education so people can learn more about mental health and just how prevalent it is. And we want people to understand that if they are struggling or if someone they know is struggling, they are certainly not alone in that. And it is a lot more common than people readily think. So some of the ways that we have been trying to do that is through our different social media platforms. We have been creating a lot of graphics and videos and photos that have been shared around the web, and we have been targeting specifically families in the Fox Cities area who may benefit from Catalpa services. And one of the things that we've really tried to do with Catalpa is to kind of humanize the mental health process and show people who Catalpa is, who the people are here that they might be seeing, that they might be talking with, as well as talking about some of the programs that you guys offer, not only the one-on-one services, but the group services, different programs that people might not know are available to them. So we've had a couple volunteers through Catalpa so far who have been just absolutely fantastic, and we have done a couple videos talking about some of the staff here, some of the people that people will meet when they come to Catalpa, and then also talking about the different groups that are available and what type of people might be best suited for those different groups. And that's something that we are trying to do on a continual basis. So we are always looking for more staff members who are willing to tell their story, whether it be what you do at Catalpa, the type of people that you help, or even what you get out of working here, why you love your job, and what people can gain from coming in and talking to somebody at Catalpa, or even talking about why people should come at all. How this is a place that is not scary, that people can come and ask those hard questions, and it's an open environment where there's no judgment. Those are all things that we want people to know, and having a human face behind Catalpa is a very, very positive thing, and it can really go far. So we are always looking for people to share their stories, even if it's just a quote about Catalpa, about your experience, about why people should feel comfortable coming here. I know being on video is kind of scary for a lot of you guys and not something that everybody is comfortable with, which we completely understand. But if you are interested in participating at all, we would be happy to work with you. And I just want to show you a video that we have done so far so you can kind of get an idea of what these look like. Is there audio? Oh.
So I'm a mental health therapist in the outpatient setting. So I work with kids from the ages of 6 to 18, so school age and up. And I work with a lot of different diagnoses, symptoms, presenting concerns, such as anxiety, depression, behavioral concerns, parenting with parents, family therapy, relationship issues, among many more. I also do group therapy here with teens and high school students. It's an art and expressive group for kids struggling with anxiety and depression. So that's another piece that I enjoy doing here at work. I also work in a school 1 day a week at a middle school through the PAP program. And that is through the United Way. So we collaborate with the United Way to be able to provide services to families in a school setting for families that aren't able to get to Catalpa or maybe don't have the resources available otherwise. I also do trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, and I work with kiddos struggling with reaction to trauma or maybe PTSD that maybe need a little bit more specialized treatment focused on healing through, the things that they've experienced in their traumas. It is really hard to pick what my favorite part about my job is, because it is, everything about my job I love. It's something I enjoy coming to every day because I get to meet new people every day and I get to interact with people of all different walks of life and hear their stories. And I think the most powerful part about doing what I do is to be able to be part of that journey in healing and learning and growing. And so the fact that I get to be a little part of these kids' stories is pretty awesome. As well as part of their success. When kids leave here and they're feeling awesome, it's a celebration. It's sad seeing them leave because we grow those really awesome connections. But I'm proud, and I'm excited and I'm happy to be able to celebrate with them when they leave.
So thank you, Ashley, for participating in that. It's really easy to tell people about what Catalpa does and who you guys are, but to see it and to see that passion that you guys have every day is really, really powerful to people in the community. And it doesn't take too long. It's not a hard setup. I probably just need 20, 30 minutes of your time if anybody wants to participate. Or if you even just have any questions about anything that we're doing, please feel free to reach out to me. I left some business cards over by the computer over there. So yeah, I would love to talk with you guys and have you be a part of our efforts. Thanks.
Do you want to show
Yeah.
them, where are we now? I mean, like likes on Facebook were, you might not have the most recent count, but.
Our goal was to increase our Facebook likes specifically to 1,100, and I know we're well over that. I think we're probably at 1,150, getting close to 1,200. So people are responding really, really positively to the content that we're putting out, and it's something that people are very interested in, and it seems like it's very needed. So any input that you guys have in terms of, what you have seen people responding to or asking questions about, anything like that, we are always open to hear that because we want to put out things that are the most relevant to the community. So yeah, things have been going great so far, and we're hoping to continue that in the next couple months.
And you've also added Twitter and Instagram, right?
Yep, we are on Twitter and Instagram as well. So those are the main social platforms that we are working on right now. Does anybody have any other questions? All right. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I have noticed as when I'm out on our Facebook page, I appreciate how many of you go out there and like the posts and share the post, and that's so important, and it really helps to get our word out there. So that is a wonderful thing, and if you can do that, if you can go out there, check out our page, like it, share it, it really helps to spread the Catalpa message out in the community. And I have just been really impressed with the messaging that we've done, especially this month around mental health awareness. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to go out there and see some of those posts that are really starting to educate the community on prevalence around issues and really trying to break down that stigma. And that's really the messaging that we're trying to do, is shift it more from just education on Catalpa, which we're certainly doing, but really around mental health in general. And what's really cool about that too is the Kubley Foundation often picks up our posts and then shares it on their sites, and we see others doing the same thing.
When that happens, the reach goes up exponentially. Like for anybody who has been sharing and liking the post, that really does a lot on the back end in terms of the number of people that are seeing it. So thank you for doing that.
And the videos are really popular.
Yeah,
when
people are responding really positively to those, which is great.
Absolutely.
I was gonna say the kinds of things that you're posting are easier things for us to share than just things specifically about Catalpa. Otherwise, it feels a little bit like being a bragger.
Yeah.
So where the things that you're posting now, it's easier for me to post or to
And there
pass along.
certainly are times where there are, specific events that are important to the community that we're sharing and getting the word out about stuff like that as well. But we're also trying to mix in a lot of educational stuff and things that kind of allow people to understand that they're not alone if they're having these issues.
Thank you. Thanks to Rich. Again, he's always feeding content, and thanks to all of you for getting out there, liking it, sharing it, and being part of the videos. So thanks.
Lisa?
Yes.
I did forget to put on here that the question that we talked about in Zero Suicide Steering Committee, that we're really supposed to ask
Yes.
today. Forgot to relay that to Christy. I don't know
So
where you want that, but just before people leave.
absolutely. So we should probably do it sooner than later.
Okay.
So we'll have Liz do key metrics, and we'll have you jump in with that. So Liz, do you want to share the key metrics for the month? Absolutely. Although we should give you the mic, because I understand that, my understanding is people can't hear you if you don't have the mic. And it's fuzzy.
Oh, that's great. So I kind of have a mix of metrics, some from year-to-date through March and some through April, just kind of where we're at with getting April closed. But we'll start with our access. Our average access for April for counseling, we were at 5.5 days compared to that 5-day benchmark, so just a smidgen over the benchmark. For psychology, we were at 20.75 days, and psychiatry at 13.25. And we do continue to see that psychology, that those access days are getting out there. So, I would anticipate that for a while until we get some relief in the psychology area.
5 and unders are at about November now, so.
Yeah, and I think just the other day, maybe we were at about 30 days out, so.
Because I think 6 and up, if they're appropriate for Dave and John, are July, and then
Yeah.
5 and unders are November.
Our discharge from St. E's, we're at 16.75 days. Our percentage of referrals for April was at 31.63%. And I think we've got, when we talk about our visits, I think those numbers will kind of go hand in hand. And our no-show rate for April was at 7.66%. We moved down to outpatient visits, and for April we were at 4,200, exactly 4,246, compared to our budget of 4,923. So we're quite a bit under budget for April. And, with that access number, I think a lot of that has to do with our providers that are out. So, we're kind of seeing some impact there. I've just started working on productivity statements, so I don't have all of the analysis done on where our big differences are. Year to date for visits, our budget is just over 20,000, and we're at 18,400 right about. So, year to date, we're kind of missing those visits again, a lot because we've got those providers that are out on leave. On some good news, our day treatment census for April was 324 days compared to a budget of 304. So that's very good. With an average census of 16.2 kiddos per day compared to our budget of 16. So that's good. So it's really good to see all the work that everybody's doing to get day treatment census up. As far as financial results year to date, we just have through March. So year to date, we're missing budget by about $32,000. And that would go kind of hand in hand with the fact that our visits are under year to date too. So we'll just keep looking at that and figuring out best what we can do to bring that revenue up. Anything else?
So we're going to actually give this to Katie, so that Katie has a question, and we want to go ahead and make sure that it's timely, and then we'll bring it over for the pop-up.
Yeah, so in our zero suicide steering committee.
We're going to give you the microphones.
Oh, I'm usually pretty loud, so. In the Zero Suicide Steering Committee, we have been trying to finalize some policies and protocols around if a client or a non-client in the a youth in the community were to die by suicide, or in situations where there's a death and it may not be by suicide. So we just want to put some standard practices in place, and some of that includes how we communicate with our staff. And so we kind of went back and forth on what to do with some specific details. And sorry, I could go where your camera is. I don't have to make you work. So one of those questions was, at what point do we send out an email to everybody? Because sometimes we hear that there's a death by suicide maybe at one of the local schools, but we don't know who the student is. We don't have a lot of details, but we get that information. And so there are a couple teams that I think need to know as soon as we hear something, because they're on the front end. So that would be the call center and the intake specialists. However, we are hearing that with the treatment staff, it just seems to increase anxiety, and they have to wait, and sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes it's longer before we hear details of the information, including even if it's a Catalpa client or has been a Catalpa client. So one of the questions that we wanted to throw out there and this is for everybody, is there a preference as to whether you would get an email besides the call center and the intake teams, that you'd get an email, a general email, letting you know that there was a death by youth in the community. Sometimes we know it might be by suicide, sometimes we don't. Just so you have that heads up, or would you rather have us wait until we actually have the details? Now, if you are not involved in that particular student's care or that youth's care, you wouldn't probably get as much detail because we're just going to the people that are more involved to give, the detail of the names and those kinds of things. But we would at least share so everybody knows, that this happened. So, I don't know if this is something that can just be a quick response and you can raise your hand and give feedback, or if people would rather maybe email me, and maybe I do need some kind of deadline because we do need to put this policy in place sooner than later, knowing that we can always review policies. This doesn't mean that this is forever, this is all we're ever gonna do, and so we can always review things. Anybody have an idea of which way to go, or shall I just say email me by Friday?
That might be the better route, just personal.
Okay. So, and that will help because people that might not be watching now, but later, can then have some time to watch this and respond. So, all right. So by Friday, just know that the decision will be made, knowing that we can review a policy if we try things and it just doesn't go well. But please go ahead and just send me an email with your thoughts, and then we'll go from there. Okay? And if you don't mind whatever direction we go and you're willing to try it, you don't have to email me. But in case you do have some thoughts about it. Okay? All right, thanks. Trina. On a more uplifting topic.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll follow your lead. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Trina. Trina Dockstader, Director of Development. I've met many of you in my first couple of months here, but hello for those of you I haven't met yet. So I'm development team of one, which means I'm really here to support the work that you all do through community partnerships and philanthropy. So one of the ways that we do that is through events. And I think many of you are probably familiar with Race for a Reason, who was involved in RACE last year, years prior. Awesome. So we had a great couple of years of RACE, and last year after RACE for a Reason, the team got together and said, this has been fantastic, and going into our 5th year of Catalpa, how can we really continue to engage the community and our leaders and businesses and stakeholders at a greater level around mental health awareness, and then supporting Catalpa philanthropically as well. So out of that discussion, POP was born, which is the idea for our new signature event this year. And out of this discussion, knowing that we were going to try something new and different, the team decided that it had to be something that was really unique and innovative, because Catalpa was born out of this really innovative model and collaboration. There's really no template for Catalpa, right? We're kind of outside of the box in terms of how we do things and how we've reinvented access. So this event also had to be kind of outside of the box and not your normal event. So POP will be held in September 16th, and it's a pop-up event. Is anyone familiar with the pop-up event concept? Anybody? All right. Well, I'll give you the details, which means I'm really not going to give you many details, and here's why. Pop-up event is an event that just pops up. Guests do not have details of the location or the theme ahead of time. They will all be unveiled starting in July through a series of clues and teasers. So teasing you to where the event location might be. So it'll be somewhere in the Fox Valley. It could be in a cornfield. It could be in our lovely parking lot out here between 442 and 444. You never know. If you guess, I'm a terrible liar, so if you guess it, you could probably see it on my face. But
But a lot of opportunity to have fun with this event and engage the community at a greater level in terms of awareness and philanthropic support. There's a really cool theme that goes along with it. Again, I can't tell you what that is, but it will be unveiled through a series of clues. So it's very possible that when you get the clues, by the time you arrive at the event, you'll have a very good idea of what the theme is, maybe where you're going to be, but there's a chance that you won't. We will tell you where to show up. We will tell you what to wear, so it's not going to be unwelcome clues. It'll only be the fun ones. So right now, we're working with community leaders and getting support through sponsorships. More information will be coming out in June and July in terms of how people can register, but there will probably be an opportunity for staff to engage and volunteer through the event as well. Additionally, if you know any community leaders, businesses who'd be interested in supporting Catalpa philanthropically, there's a lot of opportunities to get involved that way, so certainly let me know and we can connect them. I told you not very much, but I told you what I can tell you. What questions do you have about the event? Yes.
Is it a family-friendly event or is it more adult-oriented?
So good question. So this will be adult oriented. So this will be a change a little bit from race and what we've done in the past, because again, this is really a chance to engage community leaders and stakeholders and get, I'll say, more people into the fold in terms of supporting Catalpa long term. So we've also talked about how could we have other events in the future where we could engage families to make sure we're inclusive of everyone that way too. What other questions? Yes, tickets will be available starting in probably at the end of June.
What price will those tickets be?
$125 per ticket. But again, this would be an opportunity to engage the community, garner philanthropic support, and like I said, there will be opportunities, I think, for staff to get involved too, because I think the great opportunity with an event like this, we have a great committee of community leaders who's already been involved and engaged at a greater level than they might have ever had the opportunity to be just through this event. So I think it's a great opportunity to engage folks, and then at the event, I think we're going to need involvement, and it's nice for people in the community to see the faces of people who work here and be able to engage, because when I'm talking to donors in the community, you guys are the heroes. You guys are the ones they want to meet with, talk to, find out what's going on, because you're all involved in the day-to-day work. So I think there will be a lot of opportunities to engage. Other questions? Thoughts? Guesses on location?
It's really cool.
It's really cool. It's going to be fun. More information to come. Stay tuned. There will be a website going up in June where you can register to get some of the event clues and teasers. So more information to come, but wanted to give you a heads up as things are evolving. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
This really will be a different kind of event for Catalpa, but I think it's going to be the kind of event that people in the community are really going to be talking about.
They don't have anything like this.
They don't have anything like this, and it's really going to be that friend-raising, fundraising, and that is important. I mean, I think RACE was a wonderful event to do family engagement, and as Trina said, I think we're going to look for other opportunities to do that, to celebrate our families and our clients. This is a different kind of event. So this is really where you're getting those key stakeholders in, they're understanding who we are as an organization, and they're celebrating us in a different way, and I think it creates a different level that we just really couldn't do with RACE. So it's more of a traditional fundraiser in that, although there's nothing traditional about this fundraiser. So it's going to be a fundraiser too. So it's just going to be a fantastic event, and we're really excited about it. We were going to talk about comings and goings. So Jenna's going to talk to us a little bit about that, which there's got to be an easier way to get
Probably not sitting in the back corner.
So just real quickly, we had gotten some feedback recently from some employees with regards to the number of people that have chosen to leave Catalpa for one reason or another. And so we just wanted to kind of briefly address that and just let you all know that many of those reasons that people are currently leaving, that as far as I know, are personal. which means I can't give you the details on it. That would have to come from them directly. So just know that as people are leaving, I do exit interviews with those people to get any sort of feedback from them that they may have, whether good or bad, that we can take a look at and see how we can improve things for employees that work at Catalpa. With doing exit interviews, my thing is always, if you're going to do them, you better do something with the information that you get. So that is my goal, is to get that information from employees that are leaving and doing something with that information as much as we possibly can. I mean, we can't do everything, but we'll try to do as much as possible. But just wanted you to know that we're working on that, and we're also working as diligently as possible to get those open positions filled. And you will see that many of them will be starting already in the next month or so. So if you have any questions or concerns with regards to that, please feel free to reach out to me.
Should we announce some of the ones that are coming? Can we do that or no? I know you sent out emails.
I did. So we have a new front desk person starting May 31st, and she will be kind of replacing Bethany. And then we have a new call center person starting June 5th. We have a new provider starting May 30th.
What flavor of provider?
They're therapist. We're entertaining a psychologist.
You have a day treatment provider as well starting?
We had a new resident person at day treatment start today.
We're checking references on some other people
Yep,
too.
we have a pending offer for a part-time intake person.
Yep.
And we're checking references on 2 school-based therapists. Did I get them all? No, that's what I'm like, did I get? So, like I said, and again, if you know of anybody, we do have the employee referral policy. So if you know anybody that meets the qualifications for any of our openings, please refer them if you feel that they are referable to us. So, and you have that bonus opportunity.
What about the new time card system you mentioned?
Yes, so all of these people have taken my time from getting the new time rack system going. And what I'm working on right now is building provider schedules so that when the providers that don't work a straight 8-hour day, 5 days a week, that when they go in there to request PTO, they will know the number of hours that they need to request, and then their manager will be able to see that too.
Oh, that'll be nice. Yeah.
So.
We'll talk about One Call Now as well, because that should be coming shortly as well. You're implementing that?
Yep, so we're also working on implementing a system where we can log in via web and notify employees of any type of, maybe there's a emergency situation going on. We can log into this system and notify with one message. It can go out to a selected group of employees so that everybody gets the message at the same time, or it's delivered to the employees at the same time.
By a cell phone, so you can get text messages. You can
Email.
Email.
Yep, so I'm working on getting that as well. We have everybody set up in the database, so that will also be important if your phone number changes or cell phone number changes, to make sure that you're notifying me so I can get that updated in that system as well as anywhere else in case there's a need to reach out to you.
What will be nice about One Call Now is for the front desk as well. That'll be a great system that the front desk can use, because they can send one text that can reach all of leadership. So it'll be just an easy system to be able to reach people. So there can be subgroups in the One Call Now.
Right. Any questions? Who's next?
I think me. I think the other part with kind of the, as you notice, the staff changes or the team member changes, is that's also part of a growing organization. I think when you're smaller, and when we first started out, we had 30, you don't notice that as much. But as you grow and you have more people, then you're going to see more of that happen. So that is also just part of that normal growth cycle that we have at Catalpa. So I think Jen is doing a great job of making sure what is going on, understanding that so that we can see patterns and trends and address any of those concerning areas. But also part of that is just going to come with, as you get larger, you're going to have some of those come in, and it's just going to be part of that and still be within that normal range. So we just want to make sure that that's balanced. So I think I was going to talk about two things. One is the members meeting update, and also I was just going to give you a little update on my trip to Kansas City. I had mentioned I was going to speak to a group in Kansas City, and I had a wonderful opportunity through an organization called Vizient to share our Catalpa story with it was the Mid-America chapter, and it was a group of CFOs and COOs that were really struggling with behavioral health, and they had asked to hear a little bit about a model that was working. So I had the privilege to come in and share our story from when we launched to where we are today. And I have to tell you, sometimes when you're so close to it, you forget how cool we really are. And so to be up there and to talk about us and to show our growth and our access and all of our statistics was really inspiring. And then afterwards, to have these operations folks come up to me and say, you know, I got to hear more. And I've gotten several emails afterwards to learn about our model, to see what we're doing. We are doing some really remarkable things around pediatric mental health access. And you all should be incredibly proud of that, because in other parts of the country, they're really struggling with this. And not that we still don't have challenges, but the fact that we have moved the metrics the way that we have, those community collaborations, when I talked about the Access Center model, and when I talked about that it takes a village approach and how we've really partnered, that was so inspirational for so many of these systems to say, what you're doing here is, it's just, they're not thinking that way. And so we're really challenging the way people think about mental health, around collaboration, about access to care. And I think we should just pause and really be very proud of that, because, you know, again, I think sometimes we take for granted what we're doing in our own community, but others are not. And I think we really are kind of thought leaders and inspirers, and that was just really cool. So speaking, kind of leading into that, we had our members meeting. And our members meeting is where the three owners of, you know, the three highest levels of Catalpa get together once a year to say, let's talk about how you're doing. So at Affinity or Ascension now, that's Travis Anderson. For Children's Hospital of Wisconsin, that's Peggy Troy. And then we had Dean Gruner join us, probably for the last time with State of Care, as Dean is transitioning. And it was really nice. We went over our key milestones and metrics for the past year and showed our growth and what we've achieved. And at the same time as we're growing, we're also reducing our operating loss per visit. So that's, you know, really impressive to say, you know, we've grown visits year after year after year. We've grown patients year after year. Our first year at Catalpa, we started with our first full year, something like 4,500 patients. This year we're projected to see something like 10,000. I mean, that is impressive. 6,500 visits, or 65,000 visits is what we're projected to see this year. I mean, these are some staggering numbers. We've grown from 32 team members at Catalpa to 105 team members at Catalpa. So when you look at this trajectory, at the same time, you know, we're showing, again, decreases in areas that they matter. Loss per visit went from $85 when we opened to now $32 a loss per visit. So that's really impressive. No-show rates going down, all of those things that matter. So they were very, very impressed and incredibly complimentary of the work that you do every day. And of course, we shared some of those amazing mission moments, because we have beautiful stories. You know, I hope that if you read nothing else in the connection, and if you only have a minute, please read the success stories, because those are your successes that we're celebrating every week. And they're beautiful. I mean, they really are just so impressive when you hear these stories right from parents. So, and we shared some of those with them, and they were really moved. For the next 5 years, you know, they're all very vested, all very on board. And I think where they'd like to see Catalpa go is innovation. You know, we have done so much, and now it's saying, you know, what's next? And I think where the biggest thing for us to go next to is sustainability. And it's saying, you know, how do we take this model further, and how do we look for that path towards sustainability? And that's really going to be our focus, is to continue to drive down that operating loss. Right now, we're budgeted this year about 1.5. Is that right, Liz? So we're budgeted at about a 1.5. Our challenge is now to say, year after year, how do we continue to become a more innovative, cost-effective organization? So we have targets that we have set out to hit, and then with the goal long-term of saying we're going to become a self-sustaining organization, which to me is really inspirational, because we're going to do that through talent, we're going to do that through creativity, we're going to do that through innovation. And when you look at where we've come in 5 years, I truly believe in 5 more. We're going to be telling the story on a national scale, and people are going to continue to look to Catalpa, and that's what our members expect from us and are excited to see us deliver. So we're going to be going into our next phase of strategic planning. We're going to be starting that off with a sustainability brainstorming session, bringing stakeholders together. We welcome and encourage your ideas. You know, I think we're just scratching the surface on what we can deliver, and so we want your thoughts and ideas, and we'll probably be reaching out to you to say, what are some of those things? What can we be doing better right now with our core continuum, but where else could we go? And we want those ideas. And then we're going to be continuing with strategic planning, and there's lots of opportunities to get involved in that. So I'll be sharing more along the way. But again, I think it was really inspirational and just very exciting. So any questions on that, on kind of where we are the members? All right. Next up, I think, is you, Jillian.
Thank you. All right. This will be really quick. Wanted to let you guys know about some resources that we've put up on the L Drive. Case management, and specifically Alicia Marin, has been doing an awesome job of creating this resource library. So I want to give you all the directions for how to get to the library on the L Drive. And I will send out a follow-up email with the directions as well, so you kind of have it for your reference. So when you're in the L Drive, it's under support teams, case management, and resources. And so within that resource folder is a lot of great information. Resources for suicide and crisis. There's a NAMI folder with a bunch of their resources. Resources for grief and bereavement, AODA treatments, really a breadth of things. And for each resource, when possible, there is all the full contact information as well as the website to go with it. So a couple of things. Feel free to use the resource library as often as you might need. If you notice that anything needs updating, please email me or email Alicia, and we'll make sure that the most relevant up-to-date information is in there. If you have resources that you like that are currently not in the library, let us know and we can consider adding them. Some of you might already be using another resource folder that is on the L Drive. If you go right into L Drive, there's a resource folder that's right within the first choices there. We are in the process of merging that with this one. So for yourself or in the future, make sure you're going to support teams, case management, and resources. That's going to be the most up-to-date folder that's going to have all the information you need. Get it?
Yes. And I think the leadership team is going to actually help with some of these. These are the Q&As that you sent in. And I got to say, I'm very appreciative of the questions that we received, because I think it certainly helps us get a sense of thoughts, those types of things. One of them always cracks me up. So, we asked if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we got no. So you probably don't have to. If you don't, you probably don't have to respond. But I thought that was funny. So I think we're going to take kind of a team approach in answering some of these. And for some reason, I cannot print these off where I'm reading them, so I can read them off my phone. So the first one was, it says, when is leadership going to care about the morale at Catalpa? I will tell you, I care immensely about the morale at Catalpa. And so that is something, but I think it's really important to talk about that and find out ways that we can measure that. I think the work that Jen is doing through exit interviews is something that helps to engage that. But I definitely think it's time that we do an engagement survey, and so that we get a survey out there. We've looked at tools. Some of those have not been very cost effective, so we're looking to say what is a good tool and what are questions that we can ask that are going to be meaningful and make sure that they really capture your thoughts, your feedback. But the most important thing when you do an engagement survey is it's stuff that when we get your feedback, just as Jen said, that we take action on that feedback. So right now, Jen is doing a lot of work to say what are some of those best-in-class questions that we can ask, and then how can we make sure that those are actionable. But I want to assure you that that is something that we care about immensely and is of the topmost importance. It is, growing, retaining our talent we are nothing without that. So the morale is essential to us and is very, very important. And the next question, and I now got to log into my phone, is, would Catalpa ever consider not taking new therapy patients? Most Catalpa providers are very full. Community providers are as well, so many patients are not able to be seen as frequently as needed. And I don't know, Katie, if you want to join in on this one. I think it's a really good question.
I think even previously when I was a working supervisor and did intake, I often had those thoughts. We got really full. But the reality is what are we supposed to do? The parents can't just turn off their kids' mental health issues. So the more that I have gone out into the community and presented on Catalpa, the more that I hear stories that people bring back, one of the number one things that they say is how easy we make it for them. And prior to Catalpa, they didn't know where to go. So it didn't matter if people's schedules were full or not. They didn't know where to go. They didn't know who to go to, who to trust for their kid. They didn't understand what was going on, even if they needed help for counseling or whatnot. People don't know. Mental health is still mysterious, even though we're working on breaking down stigma, and the more we're in schools and the more we're on Facebook and all of that, we got a long ways to go. And so even though there's access issues everywhere, and you're right, because there is, and part of that at Catalpa right now is just by chance of people with blessings having babies, but it just coincidentally all seemed to happen at the same time. So that, is out of our control. But they come into the access center because they get help and then get triaged to go somewhere. So it doesn't turn off just because they don't know where to go. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, to me, when you look at it that way, it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they come to the access center? Why wouldn't they try to get help? The team has worked very, very hard in building relationships. Mallory has already, even though she's not technically has the hours to do lead, still does lead work, and is out there communicating and building strong relationship with our community partners. And they try to work with us the best that they can. They're continuously emailing us, and those relationships have been built so strong that even if it's frustrating that families have to wait longer, at least they know they have a direction. So I get it. It seems like I'm full, it's overwhelming, but it doesn't mean that the need still isn't there. So that's why we continue to take them.
I think if I can add a little piece to that too, I feel like although there's definitely a stressful period, that does get better. Oh gosh, okay. That does get better and go away. So I know it feels like right now it's super crazy, but there will be a dip in time where we have a ton of availability. So I think, as I always say to the intake too, if we can just be patient, it does get better. And then even with the external referrals that we have networked with, it's not just that I think the communication is getting better with them. They're actually reaching out to us when they want more clients. So it's becoming a really big, I think, community networking. Like, it's become really cool. Like, if they get new therapists, half the time they're reaching out to me before I even have a chance to connect with them. So I know it feels like it's probably overwhelming, but it has gotten better, I feel like. So, I don't know.
And also, that is the thing.
I agree with everything Valerie's saying, Katie, and I would just ask everyone again to hang in there. I know everybody is like 4 or 6 weeks out, but, even with external agencies, a lot of them are in the same boat and sometimes even further out. And we look at referring externally, but sometimes it's even that we're even a shorter time frame. And we have to come back to us because 6 weeks is shorter than 8. But I just ask everybody to hang in there, and we'll have a school of people coming back, and everybody does such a great job. And it's hard too sometimes because we just have so many great people, and we see kids and we want them to get the best care too. So hang in there. We'll get through it.
Thank you. Absolutely, self-talk. We will get. And time again, that is the thing I hear. When I hear these success stories, when I hear people, it is parents that are so grateful for, even if they have to wait, they have a place to go. And they did not have that before, when it was 60 days to an appointment and there was nowhere to go and they were lost and alone. And that's what Catalpa has been to so many. So I cannot thank you enough for what you're doing right now. Well, every day, but especially right now. And I don't know because I'm not in your shoes, but I appreciate it. But families are so grateful. It seems like support hourly staff has gotten the same raise every year that Catalpa has been open. Is there ever going to be an increase in the amount of the cost of living raise? Support staff also do not have the chance to bonus or increase their earning potential. So what financial incentive is there to do more, be more productive than those doing less who basically get the same raise? In other words, will Catalpa ever move its support staff to a merit raise system? And that's a really interesting question. We talked a lot about that in leadership. And, do I like merit raise systems? Yes, those are. And I don't know if Jen or Liz want to kind of jump in on as we talk about that. When you have kind of the cost of living pool or the raise pool that we have, it's a lot harder to do those. And I think we'd have to be very thoughtful as we look at those kinds of systems. What I think we would like to look at is how do we do recognition in a different way? Are there other systems that we can build in that support that? And then how do we do management and accountability so that we don't have those that feel like they're giving 110% and others working beside them that are not giving that same type of effort or giving a lot less effort. So I think that's a much more complex issue that we need to talk about and look at. I don't know that we would do a merit system for just one group of employees and not a merit system for all. I think that needs to be a different type of philosophy. But I think that there needs to be a system where people feel valued and appreciated, and yet there needs to be other mechanisms in place to support that. And so I think also that helps to come in with the engagement survey. The other thing I want to talk to, kind of going back to the engagement survey, is, again, we don't know what's broken. If we can't fix what we don't know is broken. And so an engagement survey is important, but also just feedback. And if you're not comfortable, doors open, usually, literally, figuratively. But if you're not comfortable in those conversations, sending an anonymous note, those kinds of things can also help. If there's issues that we don't know about, we would love to get that kind of feedback. So you don't have to wait for a survey to come if there's issues or there's things or concerns that we need to know about. We would love to hear that. And I think for those of you that have come to us when there is an issue or concern, hopefully you have found that we would be responsive to that. And then the final question, which is, I have lost all faith in J Street and Boulevard. I know, I hear you. It impacts my production, and so far families who really need to wait for our visits to work. When can we be done with that? What is the latest update? I'm sorry, it's hard to read this on the phone. If we will be one building or okay, when can we be done with that? And then the other question is, a separate question is, what is the latest update on if we're in one building or staying on 3 campuses? So with J Street, I had a very nice heart-to-heart with Tom at J Street. Is a lovely person, I got to tell you that. So aside from J Street alone, I had a great heart-to-heart with Tom, and I said, Tom, we're here. We're at that stage where we're probably in a breakup mode. So it's not. It was a great intention. It's a really great in theory kind of product. We're just not able to get the kinks out. And so we had this talk to say, we've invested in J Street, but it's not working for us. We're giving them one last shot to Wednesday. If they can't get the technology to work by Wednesday, we are walking away. And J Street's the great thing about J Street, because Tom's a really stand-up guy, is they're going to make it right for us, and they're going to give us back our investment. So we're either going to make it right by this week, or we're walking away from it by this week. So I appreciate your patience. Again, it was really cool in theory. I just don't know that we can make the technology work. So we will keep you updated this week if it's going to work or if it's not going to work. But we appreciate everything that you've done to be patient through that process.
Just a question about that. Is it that their technology just isn't working, or is it not working for us because of the uniqueness of Catalpa?
It's mostly, honestly, from what I'm hearing from them, a lot of it's on the ThedaCare side, and it's just getting that data transferred over, and it seems to be a continuous battle. I'm seeing emails today between ThedaCare and J Street, but at some point in time, I think we just have to call it and just say, I don't know that those will ever be worked out, and we're just causing more frustration than it's worth. So again, if they, yeah.
The technology might be working for other clients.
Maybe. It's just, for whatever reason, our two systems just can't work it out. And then finally, the 3 campus, we are still working towards that. We have a committee that's working on it. We've done a needs assessment of facilities. We're now doing a market assessment, because the big question is, what's the right size for Catalpa in 5 years as we continue to grow? So we're looking at those types of things, which will also fall nicely into strategic planning. So our goal still is to be in one facility. We just have to make sure that those are the right decision, and that is that lease, is that buy, what does that look like, what's the right size? So we've got a group of people that are comprised of board members and other strategic talent that's looking at that and trying to drive that forward. Will it be by the time our leases are up here? Maybe not, depending on what that ultimate decision is, but it will be something that we are continuing to look at from an efficiency standpoint, from a client satisfaction standpoint, and from a team member satisfaction standpoint. So keep the dream alive. Thank you all so much. Truly appreciate your feedback, your time, and the commitment you have every day to Catalpa.